want to move on to lesson 15, chapter 15, which is appropriately titled Infinitives. Why? Because we're dealing with infinitives. What do you know about an infinitive? Yeah, I'm going to give you a warning, okay? Fair warning, forewarned is forearmed, okay? The infinitive is to Hebrew grammar what the participle is to Greek. This should start your week out on a happy note. But it's not that bad, it really. It's just a little complicated. Now, this is a little discouraging because in English, infinitives are really fairly simple. What is an infinitive?
Pure form of the verb.
It's a, all right, first of all, it's a verb form, right? It's a verb form. In English, the form is what? We use the preposition to, right? So, to do something. To be or not to be, that is an infinitive. Okay? To do, to be, to live, to swim, to study Hebrew. How do we use these things in English? He was not able to pass the test. There we're using it as a complement to a verb form. It's part of the verb, right? To be able to do something, right? To run fast enough to win an Olympic gold medal is far beyond my human capabilities. How did I use that infinitive? What part of the sentence is it? It's the subject of the sentence, right? To be or not to be, that is the question, is the subject of the sentence. In other words, we're going to use verb forms, but we can use them also as nouns. Okay? And verb forms used as nouns in English, a verbal noun is called a gerund. You may not know this. If you took English grammar in the last 10 to 20 years, you probably don't know this. I don't know. A gerund is a verbal noun, all right? In English, gerunds end in ing. What other form ends in ing? The participle ends in ing, but the participle is a verbal adjective, right? This is the participle. So, true or false, every form that ends in ing is a participle. Every form that ends in ing is a gerund or verbal noun. False. You got to figure this out, right? Swimming is difficult. Swimming is dangerous. Swimming is fun. Is that a participle or a noun? A participle or a gerund, an adjective or a noun. Swimming is fun. It's a noun. It's a subject of the sentence. Do you see how this works? Okay. Now this by way of a little English introduction to the way infinitives work. Some of that has something to do with the Hebrew infinitive. When we turn to infinitives in Hebrew, we find that there are two kinds of infinitives. The so-called infinitive absolute, and secondly, the infinitive construct. Now hold on to your hats for just a second. I'm going to go back to the board here. If we're talking about an infinitive construct and absolute, what kind of grammatical vocabulary are we using when we're talking about things that have an absolute form and a construct form? Nouns, right? These are nouns. This is noun terminology, right? When we talk about perfect and imperfect, we're talking about verb terminology. When we're talking about absolute and construct forms, we're talking about noun terminology. And this is a way of reminding us that the infinitive is essentially a noun form, a verbal noun, a verb that is functioning as a noun.